It's the 21st of April, 25th, 2015, and this is the audio podcast, episode 149, Low Hertz Rush.
Hello, I'm Samuel Freeman. I'm back after my sort of holiday type thing. Hey, Scott here, it's there, and we have Adam Yance.
Indeed we do. And of course, those of you who have listened to the show multiple times in the past will know this, but you can go to the audio podcast website for notes on all we're going to talk about today with links that go off to various places. Yip-de-dee. That is at theaudiopodcast.co.uk/show/149, and we'll give info about contacting at the end of the show. Someone's dinging there.
It was me, I'm sorry.
Sounds like his breakfast is ready. Ha-ha.
Ah, indeed so. Straight into the news then, shall we go?
Okay, I'm going to take it with Marshall. Marshall have entered the world of virtual amplifier simulatory things, which there's loads. So this is Plexi being rebuilt in virtual form.
I have to say that when I read this, I was like, Marshall don't have any digitally modelled stuff. It was almost not news, because it's not really news. Like pretty much every other company that has made a thing like this has done this already. So I mean, it's big. I suppose it's big news that it's Marshall, but I would have thought they'd have done it already. I'm surprised that they hadn't already done it.
Do they not know that everybody else has already made some quite clearly clone version of their amps, but not called their amps as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is it. They might as well jump in and make the official version, and they might as well have done it 5 years ago. This plugin is only available on the Apollo and AUD systems, so it's.
I believe so. Yes.
It's not even available to everyone, really. And again, it's like, why not just make it? Why not just make it an AU and a VST and really get all the money in? But I don't know. They know what they're doing. Not my place to question them.
Fair enough. Not Adam's place to question. I like it very much. Here comes the next one here. This is a cool one. Ardour 4 has been released. The big news is it's now on Windows and no longer requires jack. You can use jack if you want, but if you don't want to, then there are other options built in. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Does that mean without jack on Linux or
on any of them? So on Windows you can use ASIO, on Mac it has the core audio, and on Linux it has ALSA as well as jack.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. So I remember years ago when I tried to install it on a Mac, and I was like, oh, I have to install jack as well, and it's just another layer of cruft is how I feel about it, because core audio is already there and everyone already uses it. So that's good. That's good. Have you had a chance to have a play with it yet, either of you two guys?
No, I've only looked through the notes. I haven't played.
I had a look at an earlier a release, a kind of beta sort of release thing, but I haven't looked at the proper version. The proper version of it yet. There's quite a few bits that have moved, that have changed around a little bit. There is the user interface is completely redesigned and changed. So support for Ardour 3 themes is now gone, which is fair enough. And the one big difference though is that the actual memory footprint is significantly reduced. So I think it's in the note here, 80% reduction in an empty session.
Oh, do you think that's something to do with removing jack, or not having to use jack?
I suspect there could well have been parts of that and other optimizations as well. I also suspect, I'm saying, let's be honest, most of the time people don't worry so much about memory management, do they, anymore? Because most languages do it automatically to a degree and to a certain level of success. And when most people's machines are stuffed full of memory anyway, there's no real need to be worried about it, is there? So. It doesn't strike me that every now and again you can be like, hey, let's fix some memory issues and make huge savings. So that's cool. I thought it was really cool, though. It's good to have that. Sometimes So we've had a love-hate relationship with Ardour, haven't we? Here we go, Sam. Here's a great question for you. Pop quiz for Sam. What episode did we have the Ardour development team on?
I could tell you where we were when we recorded it, but the number is not. It was one of the first ones.
How long ago was that? Was that in 2012? Do you think? What year was it?
I think it might have. It could have been 2012. I think it was more likely to be 2011, and.
Oh, an early number then. It's going to be like 30 or. Not even 30, something like that.
It is number 31.
Hooray.
There you go.
Oh, I was so close, and it was a complete guess. Complete guess.
Yeah. So back in 2011 in show 31, we actually had an interview with Paul Davis where we chatted over. This is Ardour, if I remember correctly, we've been Ardour version 2 at that point there. And we chatted about what the future might be for Ardour and what things there would be, and it's nice that a lot of that has come to fruition now, which is really cool because. Yeah, it is kind of nice. There you go. So anyway, Ardour we always joke about Ardour, don't we? I thought we were going to get away without hating this moment, but if you're a Linux user, Ardour is inside your package management, ready to go, and it's free. If you're on Mac or Windows, it is available as source code for you to build, which is just like the worst thing in the world to have to do. And otherwise, there's sometimes the binary is free, and sometimes it won't let you have the free binary. Is that not the case?
Sort of. I think that they've moved it around a bit now. They have buttons for you can get a free demo, so you can just download it anytime and it'll run, but then it will silence after about 10 minutes. So it's an actual demo. And then to get the program, you can either subscribe for $1, $4, or $10 a month, or you can buy it for at least $1. So it's still a pay what you want, as long as you're giving them say $1. Yeah, and they're it's free Libre, not free gratis. Is the thing that it is.
There you go, cool. There you go. So Ardour version 4 is available for Snow Leopard, Lion, Mountain Lion, Mavericks, and Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah.
Yosemite.
Yoshi Marmite, that'd be what we call it. Yoshi Marmite.
Like Yoshi's Island.
Indeed so.
We don't talk enough about Yoshi and Nintendo, but then this is not the computer games podcast. This is the audio podcast.
That's true. Final piece of news. Also, it's hidden inside. Final piece of related news to our current news item. I'm sorry, I was subcategorizing. Is that in amongst the version 4 release notes is a little one line that says Ardour 4 will serve as the platform for Harrison's upcoming release of Mixbus version 3. So if you're a Harrison Mixbus user, then there is an update coming for you, which will be based on Ardour 4 as well. So that's cool.
Yeah, that wasn't even in the notes. So no wonder you confused both Sam and myself.
There you go. You see, that's because if you listen to the show, you get the real meat. If you read the website, you get the easily summarized.
You get the appetizers.
You get the bread.
Garlic bread with cheese.
You do actually just get the bread, don't you? I think it's just the bread. Okay, yeah. How about this one here? Somebody tell me what about Morgan Stanley and Pandora? What is this?
All the poppadoms.
I have no idea what this is about at all. I could try and read it now and summarize it, but.
Are Morgan Stanley basically analysing the streaming market and wondering whether Pandora are going to survive or not?
Yes, but they're just analysing Pandora.
That's one tasty poppadom.
That's what they do. So, well, first of all, I was saying, I guess the background is, do you remember that Pandora went public? It had an IPO, so it is a public listed company, so they're required to do due diligence, and as a consequence, Morgan Stanley have been investigating Pandora's business model, and it's quite interesting. I think the summary that I put on will it survive and in what way? It's quite interesting, really. Essentially, the quote is great. This is from Morgan Stanley. Our gut is, despite the rhetoric, labels do not want its $450 million in growing royalties to go away. But there is very little chance it can continue in its current form. So, It's quite interesting. So they were, you know, it's just that classic thing. Just it's essentially, if Pandora, there is a current case running which will just decide whether Pandora is under or overpaying, and almost certainly is going to decide they're underpaying, and it's expected that they may need a lot of money just
artists.
to meet. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Underpaying labels and by extension artists for streams.
Well,
so
it's
interesting, isn't it?
Because the record companies want more money, but Pandora won't want to double their fee that they pay, that they charge for people to use the service. So I don't know. Is it silly of me to feel like the record labels should just be like, you know, we should be glad that we're getting money per play for something that people would probably go and find for free online anyway. So maybe let's not try and get so much money, and let's try and let this business model thrive a bit. Is that unreasonable?
From whose point of view, it sounds reasonable to me, but
I guess
I don't know from whose point of view.
I guess you're taking the approach, Adam, that any money is better than no money.
And piracy.
Yeah, any money is better than no money and piracy, which is definitely the case if you don't mind not knowing what the future holds, I guess, isn't it? That's it.
Nobody knows what the future holds. Nobody knows.
Well, yes, but you can plan to have a sustainable future with the intent of delivering it, and you can plan not to worry about how you're going to be operating next week. And you know,
yeah.
You see, I mean, I
don't see how that has any effect on whether you're getting money from streams or not getting any money from streams. If anything, you want to have the money from streams because at least it's money. It's something.
Yeah. Well, I think the issue here, though, is that Pandora can't actually. Pandora will probably cease to operate as a business unless the record labels negotiate down whatever the legal ruling decides. So that's like, and that's essentially is the problem, is that it's essentially this moment where having gone through an entire process to establish, having gone through a kind of legal process to establish that you're not being paid enough, you're then given the option of either accepting you're not being paid enough or putting the thing out of business and receiving nothing.
Do you think
and I guess
did an IPO with this in mind, to basically be able to show proof of the economics of this don't work unless the record companies make it work?
Perhaps. I don't know.
Well, they could have done it anyway, I suppose. It's up to them. If they're private, they can release their accounts if they really want to.
Yeah, but they certainly could have done. I'm saying I know the people behind Pandora obviously will have got a substantial amount of money on the back of it. So you know what I mean. So
that's true. That is true.
I thought it was interesting. My intention is to actually, when it next comes to my turn to do a feature, which I might be next week or the week after, I was thinking it might be nice to have a little overview of the streaming world, and my hope was to do a little feature like that, because it's becoming, we're getting lots of stories about it and things like that. You know what I mean? Like I think Jay-Z's exclusive release on the Tidal has done incredibly well on the charts, on the back of the whole Tidal. On the back of the whole Tidal release, and it just struck me there's lots of interesting dynamics happening in the streaming world with the way the streaming world is running, and then for this story to turn up, which is basically to say, and by the way, guys, it's completely unsustainable, I thought was quite interesting. So
show that the idea of a streaming chart is completely bonkers.
Yeah, every week for maybe about 2 months now.
I mean, it's insane. You could just get a robot to play your track and boost the streaming values. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Is that an Adam Yancey book that'll be available next week for our listeners?
Pamphlet, maybe, if I got time.
The e-pamphlet.
An e-pamphlet.
I mean, I suppose that the people listening, they'll take into account the streams from people who are actually paying to use the service, rather than like.
No, they count every stream, don't they? So we discussed the formula. So I guess the one thing is that you are going to have to stream millions of streams, though. So it's quite a
It
You would
doesn't.
be listening to the same song continuously.
But then I suppose previously were the charts based on airplay or were they based on
UK
sales?
charts are based on sales, the official charts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. So Motu have released a new ultralight.
They have. It has AVB on the Ethernet there.
USB as well, so it's USB continues.
USB.
No FireWire and no whatever.
Thunderbolt. But it's got USB, but it's got the old style USB, not the new flashy C USB, which.
Yep, it's got your classic Type B connector. It also has MIDI, so yeah, it's got your 30-year-old connector on there, and your 20-year-old connector on there, and I don't know how old the Ethernet connection
How
is.
old is the XLR connector? That's probably about 60 years old or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got it's balanced TRS on there as well, and optical in and out as well. So these things are
That'd be amazing. Someone should actually take like a Thunderbolt interface, and say, okay, Thunderbolt is like 5 years old. These XLRs are 60 years old, and then just it's like an archaeological dig. And say, oh, jack connections are this old, and the power connector, well, they standardized those in this year, and yeah, that would be fun for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. So if you're an OS X 10.10 user, you can actually use this interface via its. You can actually directly plug into the interface via its Ethernet port on a separate network.
It's completely useless because modern Macs don't have that. Well, the desktop ones do, but
yeah.
They've missed a trick there. They've got this functionality about 5 years too late. It's a shame because none of the laptops apart from the MacBook Pro, the old style MacBook Pro, have got an Ethernet port on them.
But what you can do, if you wanted to, I was just getting there because I too was like you, Adam. I was like, that would have been an awesome feature a decade ago. I too was that opinion. But then, as I went further down through the release notes, what I discovered is that what you can actually do is you can get an airport. Get an airport and connect it to the UltraLite AVB, and then control the UltraLite AVB over Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
That's pretty
Now, and doing the classic looking at a web page on a web page, it actually appears that there is a browser-based control surface now as well. So
yeah, I can see they've got a picture of it on there. So congratulations to Motu. I think I've said this before in a previous show. Congratulations to Motu for moving away from that random card-based website interface that they used for a little while, which was unfathomable and not enjoyable. And now they have formatted it as a whole page that you can scroll down in one go, which is nice. And yeah, if you scroll down about just over halfway, there's a web app control section on the UltraLite AVB page, and you've got, I guess that's Safari that they're using in the screenshots. It looks very snazzy.
I thought it was pretty cool. Also featured on this is the modeled analog EQ and the compression inside QMix. QMix in there as well, which includes the leveler is the model of the Teltronics LA2A as well. So that's pretty cool.
Ooh. And also, can I continue to say thank you to Motu for making their interfaces last so long. I've got a first generation Traveler here, which works on Yosemite, but it also still works on 10.6.8. So well, it always did work on that, so that's good. But this Traveler must be easily over 10 years old.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
If you have a Mark 1 828, you have support on 10.10 and OS 8.6 or whatever it is.
Maybe 9.2.
Is it 9.2? I thought it went to 8. Maybe it is just 9. Maybe
9.2.2 is the last version of the classic Mac OS, but maybe it was on 8.6 as well.
Yeah. I thought that was, that's pretty cool, because I'm actually listening to you right now via the medium of an 828 Mark II, which is sat in its rack and outlived 4 different computers. So go Motu. I think people know we're big. Well, I don't know. I think people know that I'm a big fan of Motu hardware.
Yeah, it's not been such a recent thing, but it used to be we'd mention it every other week. But it's worth mentioning again. Marcus the Unicorn, good for him.
And some people will say they're too expensive. It's not maybe the best quality. I mean, it's still very good quality, but the fact is longevity is there. And if you're like Scott and you buy a new piece of hardware and expect it to work for 20 years, then Motu's the brand you want to go for.
Or at least historically, I mean, we don't this new box has a lot of input and output for a small box. It does look really good. There's no guarantee it's going to be as well built as the old stuff. I mean, we assume it's going to be because it's Motu, but Apple laptops used to be really good.
That's true.
They still are built well.
Okay, maybe.
A lot of you see, I hear a lot of people having broken Macs, but this is not time to gripe about the broken Macs. Rather, this is time to discuss another celebrated ancient technology of the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, which Adam Yanch is having a foray into.
Yeah, so previous listeners, we're now in the feature area, by the way. Previous listeners will hopefully have listened to Sam. What show number was it?
Why do people? First, I've been away. I don't know anything about the audio podcast.
It always seems to be you that has gets the number the fastest. But yes, a few episodes ago, I did a feature on creating a music release for cassette tape, and since then I've had my tapes delivered. And if you're on the YouTube feed, you can see on my picture that I've got a lovely bright orange cassette with its case next to it. That is the release. It's called Voltronic Galaxy, and if you have a look here, so this is side A here. If I turn it over, side B is called Galaxy. So that's all very, very tasty. It's done on transparent orange cassette, on body printing, very flash. So yeah, this feature I was just going to kind of conclude. Really the rest of the experience, and maybe the reason why I kind of realized one of the good reasons for doing this, even though it's an old school format. Any idea of the show number, Sam? Or did you have a look, or did Scott have a look?
It looked to me like Scott was looking, so I didn't try.
It was. This is a continuation of show 142.
142, so 6 episodes ago. Is it 149 today? Oh, 7 episodes ago. So yes, I received my tapes. They were a little late coming back. And then the important thing, so of course with a CD, if you get CDs done not in a burner, but as kind of mass produced, they're stamped. The same with LPs, they're stamped. They make a master template and they use that to stamp the actual records. With tapes, I don't know how they do it mass production, but these ones are done basically. You put one in, or you play the audio into several different cassette recorders, I imagine. So it's important to actually listen to your tapes. Now I only got 25 made, so it wasn't too hard. But when I did listen back to them, quite a few of them had a speed, a constant speed difference to the original. So it's not, it wasn't wow or flutter. It wasn't changing. It was actually recorded at the wrong speed. So that's one thing to do to check for if you're getting your tapes, is listen back to them and compare them to the original. And if they are not done right, then get in contact with your duplicator and say these aren't done right. I sent the ones that weren't correct back, and they redubbed them, and they're fine now. So
So how many out of your 25 did you find were?
let's see, 25. So probably good 16 or so.
So I'm trying to imagine because I imagine that they're not doing this in real time. They'll be playing the audio. I mean, I don't know. Either they're doing it in real time, or the speed difference could be explained by them doing it at high speed.
Yeah.
But playing the audio at high speed and running the tape too fast, so that when you play the tape back at normal speed, it should be normal.
I mean, we're talking the maximum. The maximum difference was a semitone. It was always sharp, but you're looking at a semitone higher than the original material. But it was actually kind of variable between. They said that they needed to go through their system and, do the recalibrate it and stuff. So they did that. I got my tapes back, and now they're all great. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how to. I was wondering if it would be like every other one, or if there'd be like 4 or 6 or 8, depending on how many tape decks they had or something. I don't know.
Because they might be doing. There'll be a bank that are done simultaneously, and yeah.
I couldn't get any significant idea of what that was. Sales so far, well, I've sold 1 tape, which to me is actually a kind of a win, because that means that someone somewhere's found this tape online and has decided to buy it. This was someone who I don't know.
I was going to say, I'm just like, although I probably intend to buy this at some point, that wasn't me.
Well, no, I know it wasn't you because I didn't send it to you.
For the listeners' benefit there. That way, yeah. Anyway.
So there are plenty left. I've probably sent a few off for promo reasons, and that's, for me, that's kind of one of the interesting things about going for tape, is that there are specific tape blogs that will not accept anything other than a tape. So that having it on tape opens the avenue of being able to send it to these people. This tape has been on Tabs Out already. Tabs Out is I think it's tabsout.com, is a website which is more a kind of catalogue. So if you send your tape, and it's not really stupid, if you give them all of the information they require, then they'll put it up on their site when they receive it. So it's not the same as getting it in a music blog. But for me, it opened up another avenue of sending, of people I can send the tape to. Also, I found that I could send an email to someone and say, hey, I've got this tape, would you like a copy of it? I'd like to send you a copy, would you like to receive it? And they say, it's like a way of starting a conversation. And they say, oh, okay, that sounds cool, yeah, send me a copy. Or they might say, that sounds cool, but have you got a digital version? There's no point in, we don't have a tape deck, or don't waste the tape on us, but have you got the digital version? So it's a kind of way of starting a conversation with someone that you don't know, effectively, which is kind of nice. I've also sent it off to a few radio stations, like university radio stations based in the States. So we'll see what happens there. I just do not know. I do not know. But also having the digital version on Bandcamp with download codes is cool as well. So I think that's kind of it, really. If there's anything significant that happens in the future, I might do part 3, but this is the experience I've had so far.
Cool.
Oh, and your tapes, you can get them in all sorts of colours and in different finishes and whatnot. So that's a nice orange tape, but you can get pretty much the full spectrum of colours. You can get ones with like dotty designs on them. You can get ones that are opaque or transparent, like this one. If you find the right place to make your tapes, then you can have labels, or you can have on-body printing for an extra fee. And yeah, look, this has got the track listing on it right here.
I presume that the distributor provides kind of templates for providing the artwork and stuff.
Yeah, they had the ones I went to had it on their website, and I just they're like Photoshop ones, or they also give you the dimensions. So I just programmed the dimensions into I can't remember what I used. I might have used Pixelmator, and just did it, kind of laid it out like that. And you can send those files digitally. You can send the audio digitally. So it's really easy to do.
Cool. I like it a lot. I do.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other question?
I'm intrigued by the on-body printing on the actual cassette itself, and like
Yeah,
how
so
much, like, obviously you provide the text, but the design itself on there, is that something that you've done, or is that?
yeah. So basically, the lines on there, what I've done.
So it's basically, is it just like a monochrome design? That
Yeah. Basically, you say you design. I think it's you design your design as white on black. No, black on white. So, and it's monochrome. You can only use one color, and then you say to them what color ink you want printed. It's either white or black, and that'll depend on what color shell you use. So if you had a white shell, you can say just print it black. I've done white printing, obviously, there. And then the bit around the reel holes doesn't print on, so you just take that into account. They said you know that bit won't print, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I took that into account. If you want to do like full color, then you have to have a label, but the label, I think making labels is easier, so I think that comes automatically with the price, depending on where you get it done.
More cool, yeah.
Oh yeah, I knew I had to have on-body printing because it just makes it look. It's like pro. It's the last little icing on the cake that makes it look like a real cool thing. So I was definitely on board for that. But yeah, and also the J card you can print. The printing inside came with it as well, so you can print the outside, print the inside. And you can have flappy based. If you've got lots of stuff to put in, you can have a flappy based one, but I didn't need that. So
now, Adam, on the audio podcast, we're often talking about issues to do with licensing and freedom of information and things. What kind of licensing have you kind of put onto this tape? Is there a copyright notice on that in there?
I don't think I've put a copyright notice on there, but it is effectively copyrighted. Yeah.
So you've not put any copy lefty stuff on there?
No, I haven't. I've always been interested, but maybe more interested in stuff that I haven't released properly to do that. But yeah, I haven't really dived into copy left stuff or anything like that.
That's cool. But yeah, by not putting anything explicitly, you basically just retaining the copyright that is automatically generated when you.
That's how I assume it works now. But I don't know, Scott. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have a intrinsic copyright to anything you do in the in the UK and within the EU as well. I believe in the US the law is slightly different in that you actually have to claim it.
Okay.
But
do I have to put it on my, because it's done here? Am I protected in the States, or am I doomed?
No, you're probably not doomed. You can retrospectively claim your right, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
You don't.
Okay.
So stuff. I think it's one of those classic moments where the law states one thing, but I mean, you'd have to be fairly moronic to attempt to violate somebody's copyright on this kind of issue.
Yeah,
and expect to get away with it. It's
pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'm done.
Done
with that. Yeah, if you're interested at all in the creation process, you go back to show 142 where I talked about how I kind of created the release, specifically to do with side lengths and how you build up the album that way. And if you have any other questions, you can get in contact. via the contact information we'll mention at the end of the show.
Indeed so. There we go, cool. Thank you very much, Adam. An awesome feature. You know what time, when you leave the feature, it's time to go to the plunder.
That was a pirate eating a snack.
Tasty.
I like it. Tasty snack. I'm responsible for all the plunder this week, so there you go. Which gives me the great opportunity to ask random questions of people. So, Sam, could you, what do you think of the Libre Graphics World interview of the Audacity team?
I think it's cool that they have an interview with the Audacity team, because Audacity had a new release recently with some awesome new features, and I hope that if and when I listen to this interview, they will discuss those.
Hooray!
When was the last time we talked about Audacity?
It was the last time I was on the show, which wasn't the last show.
Yes, it was. I'm trying to think when it was. It would have been, yeah, the 2.1 release, wasn't it? It was 2 shows ago, whenever it started, just before Easter, I think.
Yep.
So, there you go. It's cool. The interview has it's transcribed as text. It's a text interview, so you can go read it and have a quick look through there. And there's a couple of things. They talk a little bit about the health of the community around the project. They talk about the issue, the kind of classics of, have you thought about doing the interface again? And they talk about what new features could or could not be added in the future as well, which is quite interesting as well. There was also a report. There was also a mention of what appeared to be a stalled collaboration with Intel, exploring the idea of building Audacity for touch interfaces. And they were saying that now that the 2.1 release is done, that isn't actually stalled. It had just been put aside to get this 2.1 release finished off. So could well see Audacity on touch interface on kind of touch devices in the future, which would be cool as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. It's nice. It was, what I mean? Yeah. That's what it is, That's what it is.
Okay.
I like the way you said meh just there. You're like, yeah, meh.
Cool. So, Adam, have you, do you think that the bedroom producer has arisen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like
10 to 11. I mean, they should be up by now.
No, I think that's optimistic.
Yeah, it's a joke.
I like that. I didn't. Bedroom, yes, because yes, the technology allows it, and there are obviously 2 guys in this video here that do that. Maybe it's more suited to specific styles of music. This would be a good thing, I think, for... Oh, wow, and this was in 2011 as well. It is a Plunder item after all. But this would be interesting for people who have no idea how current music is made using computers, and they'll realise, oh wow, you've got the power to do this in your bedroom. But us three, bedroom production is we know how easy it is to do. We've done it ourselves. It's fairly straightforward.
So
I don't have anything to say about it.
No, I think, Adam, you covered everything and became a robot, but perhaps failed to mention the fact that it's a video documentary on YouTube.
It's also a video documentary on YouTube.
There you go.
And Scott, do you like walking around Abbey Road using Google?
Yeah. So if you haven't seen this, I think this is pretty awesome. Let me just do the positive, and then I'll distract everybody with the darker element of this. The dark side of it. But Google have released an interactive tour of the Abbey Road studios. There you go. That's what it is. It's really cool. It takes advantage of all the Google technologies that you want to, including the fact that it's actually built on top of Google Maps and Street View, because what this really is a showcase of what you can do with the internal mapping of buildings, which is where Google has been going along for a while now with a whole load of kind of sensor-laden devices to start building these sort of maps. So, which is kind of cool,
It is
but kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know where you are in the world, and we know where you are in the building.
They don't actually know where you are in the building, though, do they?
Your device
They know
knows.
what the inside of your building looks like.
No, but this is it's all part of delivering the I mean, that's where that technology is moving towards. That's the purpose of doing it.
I see. I think we're all happy to not have to know where people are in a building. In like my house, I pretty much know where everyone is right now.
That's good stuff. I like that. There you go. So it's free. I don't know how long the interactive tour is actually up for. I presume you presume forever, don't you? Because everything on the internet's forever. But,
yeah. Maybe.
But it also isn't forever.
But then it also just disappears randomly one day, doesn't it?
Well, that's the interesting thing, is that you say that once something's on the internet, it's there forever. But then also the internet is basically just like, it's not physical. Like, the only physicality of the servers, and you're not looking at the server directly, are you?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dichotomy. Not for this podcast, the audio podcast, which you've just been listening to show 149, Zombie Zang McGrath, I think it was called. Remember, you can, all the stuff that we've talked about today, you can see the notes at theaudiopodcast.co.uk/show/149. Yeah, you can grab the podcast if you want using several podcast systems, iTunes, G-Podder, Stitcher Radio. We also do the YouTube's live feed if you like to see stuff. By stuff I mean Scott Hewitt's face, Sam Freeman's face, and whatever I put on my camera on that week.
Because Adam Jansch does not have a face.
Because I've decided that I like to showcase little bits and bobs around the studio rather than my face, which you've probably seen before.
Cool.
And contact Scott. Show at theaudiopodcast.co.uk for email, I think.
Yeah, and then
That's the audio podcast for Twitter.
Yeah.
And we're also on Facebook and Google Plus as well. Though, has anybody checked those recently?
Google Plus. Well, I have to go to Google Plus to get the link to the Hangout. So
that's true, actually. Yeah. So we always check the Google Plus. So you could say hi via Google Plus, and we definitely see that.
Yeah.
So is there anybody on Google Plus? I'm sorry. I'm just
Twitter and email are the best ways, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
But if you want to try that, why not?
Not so much.
Carrier pigeon, yeah. Carrier pigeon with a tape recording. That would be nice. I'd like that. That's
if you want to send your physical releases to us, do so by carrier pigeon. We're just needlessly extending the show now, guys.
Indeed, so that was the audio podcast, episode 149, which was, for your information, Adam, actually formerly entitled Low Hertz Rush.
Low Hertz.
I've been Scott Hewitt.
I'm Samuel.
I've been Scott Hewitt.
I've been Adam Jansch.
Yeah!
Look up your zombies. Bye.
Bye.